do these in a little bit, but I mean, I can't be making 2-3 different breakfast plates.
Even though I'm enjoying the food, a challenge that maybe I'll be able to document it on here is not just the gaining the weight for me and then losing it again and then document it. That's a challenge in itself. But it's, we have 4 little mouths to feed, plus my wife. She wants to eat a little bit healthier. So we have to make different meals. That's a challenge for my wife in itself because she wants to make sure that I'm getting what I need in order for me to gain the weight. So she cooks for the little ones, she cooks for me, and then she cooks her own meal. I normally don't have tortillas, only when we have tacos or something special. But now I've been adding the tortillas to my breakfast. Adriana made me some quesadillas. Oh, I love quesadillas. I'll be enjoying the food, just, the after effects, that's a different story. Hi, this is Coach Nilo, and welcome to episode 2 of my journey from fit to fat and back again. Today we're going to talk about my first week of my intentional weight gain. And if I look tired, it's because I am tired. As I mentioned in episode 1, I'm not an influencer, I'm not an actor. This is real life, and I guess I'm going to show the good, the bad, and right now the tired. Week 1 didn't start with binge eating and eating a bunch of calories to try to get fat super quick. I started it by changing my rhythm. What does that mean? I basically changed the way I eat. So instead of starting with protein and fats in the morning, I started eating carbohydrates like pancakes. I started snacking, and I started eating late at night. I normally don't eat carbs for breakfast or sugars or anything, but since I'm trying to gain the weight, I'm breaking the routines. So if you wanna get some fat on you, you wanna keep your love handles. Eat carbohydrates for breakfast first thing in the morning. Spike up your insulin. Just for kids, I'm gonna throw in a banana pancakes. These are actually really good. And I still eat pancakes, just not all the time. That's bite. So there's a lot of holiday parties, get-togethers with friends and school events. So my wife is baking all kinds of goods, and so it made it easy for me to just start eating a bunch of goods, carbohydrates especially. It pretty much went the way I was expecting it to go, except for I wasn't expecting so many digestive issues. I started introducing more fats mixed with carbohydrates, especially the milk. My digestive system is feeling it. I'm gassy, I'm bloated, I'm uncomfortable. Even going to the restroom is uncomfortable. I won't get into details. So my goal right now, to gain the weight, is to mess with my metabolic health, to keep insulin up. Here I am drinking a protein shake to gain weight. And yeah, I know some of you are thinking, but aren't protein shakes for weight loss? How does protein shakes help you gain weight? Well, it's not so much that it has a lot of calories or that stuff, but protein shakes, they actually elevate your insulin. And in some cases, if you get the cheap protein, it'll spike your insulin pretty bad. What happens when you spike your insulin, or when insulin levels are up? You're in storage mode, you're storing fat. In the beginning, this isn't really gonna get me a lot of fat, but what's gonna do, it's my metabolism is gonna start to change because I am spiking my insulin so much, and that's not a good thing. This is what people do. They'll go buy protein shakes, and they drink them at their desk, or, thinking, they're healthy and they're good, but when you take them at the right time. But when you're just drinking them just to drink them, not the best thing. It's not always about food. I don't know if you've heard the saying, it's not just what you eat, it's when you eat. It's also what you don't eat and when you don't eat. So this takes me back to why I'm doing this. If you saw the introduction, I talked about why is it that certain diets work for some people and those same diets don't work for other people. See, it's not just about calories in, calories out. That's only part of the puzzle. There's a lot more other pieces. But when we focus on insulin, okay, insulin is connected to so many things. It's like that first domino. You knock down insulin, everything else, all the other hormones, they start falling with it. Things start falling apart. You fix insulin, all these other hormones and all these other things start falling back into place. Timing is huge, okay, because our bodies work in a certain rhythm. Certain hormones are for daytime and certain hormones are for nighttime. Circadian rhythm, it basically follows light and dark. Let's go through the circadian rhythm. When you wake up in the morning, your cortisol goes up, okay? It's not because you're stressed out. It's because it wants to wake you up. It's time to get going. Let's go, let's go. It's like when you turn on the car in the morning and it's cold, the RPMs are running high, right? And as it warms up, the RPMs go back down. Cortisol is like that engine that's cold. It wants to get you up, and then when it warms up, it goes back down. But because cortisol goes up, it signals for your body to release sugar or glucose. What happens when glucose is in the bloodstream? Your insulin is up. Okay, so in the morning, we are more insulin sensitive because our bodies are gonna take up that sugar, that glucose. Now, we switch to the nighttime. What does your body wanna do? Nighttime is for your body to rest and to recover, right? To go to sleep. So your body releases melatonin, and that's when you get your growth hormone. Okay, so insulin needs to go down so that melatonin and the growth hormone can come out. You can go to sleep, recover, repair, and get ready for the next day. And that's the way your circadian rhythm, in a very, very basic way that I'm explaining it, works. So what happens when we don't follow this rhythm and we're not in sync with the way our hormones and our bodies are supposed to work? That's when your metabolic health gets in trouble. That's when health issues begin to happen, basically. Okay, I can't sugarcoat it, okay? Health issues begin to happen, but they don't happen just instantly. And see, and this is what I started doing. I changed the way of eating. Instead of me eating my protein and my fats in the morning, I started eating carbohydrates in the morning. So I had those, that's why I had the pancakes in the morning, or, you know, cereal in the morning. Basically anything that's gonna spike up my insulin. Why? Because that's gonna, in the long run, it's gonna make me gain fat. You know, as soon as I start gaining the fat, I'm gonna start getting the fat quicker. In the beginning, it's not gonna seem so much, but as I'm going, and this is what happens in real life, it sneaks up on you. See, just like diseases, just like weight gain, it starts to sneak up. Before you know it, before I know it, I'm gonna have these love handles that, you know, I didn't have. So in the morning, your sugar is already going up naturally because cortisol goes up. It signals the body to, you know, put some glucose in the bloodstream, so your muscles and everything else just, you know, it needs that quick energy, so your insulin's up. But now we add carbohydrates in the morning, what happens? We're spiking up the insulin even more. And what else did I start doing? I started snacking throughout the day. So as I snack throughout the day, insulin is up. So I'm not allowing my body to go into fat burning mode. Right now it's just burning sugar. I'm teaching my body how to become a sugar burner, right? And then I have a late night dinner, like a big dinner late at night. Normally 5 o'clock was my normal time. So now I switched it to, I'm eating 6, 7 o'clock, even 8 o'clock. And then before bed, like 10 or 11, because I've been working late hours again, I got really busy at work, I am having another late night snack, which is, I mean, I'm being honest, this is the way most people live. I mean, come on, I see my family, you know, and that's the way it used to be. Now my family's starting to take care of themselves, you know, and they're doing better health-wise, but that's the rhythm we used to follow. Okay, so that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm changing. Peanuts almonds, walnuts, hazelnuts, and pistachios. So nuts are supposed to be healthy for us, right? So let's dig in. And I'm so busy at work. Here I am trying to record and eat at the same time. And get some work done. Really good. Nuts are good.
Yes.
One thing I should have eaten that whole bag. Now my stomach feels all weird. I think nature will be calling me pretty soon. When I got out of high school, back in 1992, yeah, 51, my dad sent me to medical school, right? And in Mexicali, Mexico. This is border California, right? Calexico. So I got into med school right after high school. I was 18 years old. And so the story is not about medical school, but I lived in Mexicali. And the first summer, what I noticed is back in 1992, the culture was very different. Here in the US, we have big dinners. Over there, their big meal is during lunch. So they have their big meal between 1 and 3 o'clock. And then for dinner, they have something light. You know, sometimes they don't even have dinner. It's just something, you know, like a snack. What we have our late night snack, that's their dinner. You know, maybe some pan dulce with hot chocolate or milk or coffee, or maybe a quesadilla with beans, but something small. It's like a very small dinner. Their big meal was always their lunch. Fast forward to 2010, when I moved to the Republic of Mexico. I lived out there for about 2 years. I was working for a nutrition company, so I was traveling. I got a condo right there in Zapopan, which is near Guadalajara, Jalisco, and I traveled all through Mexico, out in the Republic. You know, Estado de Mexico, el DF, Monterrey, Zacatecas, Guanajuato, Irapuato, León. I was all over the place in Mexico. Mexico was beautiful. I fell in love with Mexico, and the people there, they're amazing. But from 1992 to 2010, especially in the big cities, it was more in the big cities, I noticed that it was very Americanized. The culture was different than what I was used to. See, when I go to the small towns over there in the ranchos, and they still had the culture that I remember from when I lived in Mexicali, which is the big meal was during lunch, and their dinners were very small. But when I went to the cities, you know, the bigger cities, it was the other way around. They changed to where it was they were having late dinners and big dinners, which is what I was used to. But it wasn't until I was doing this project that I'm like, hey, wait a minute, I remember this happened. You know, it's funny because you know, when I first arrived to Mexico, friends took me in and they treated me so nice. So the next day, there's like, oh, we're gonna go take you to this place where we think you're gonna really like it. And so I'm thinking, oh man, they're gonna go take me out to eat authentic Mexican food. It's for my first time out here in Mexico City, and so I was excited. And they took me to the mall, and I was like, wow, I'm like, this looks like like an American mall, you know? It's like it was beautiful, it was nice, huge. So they take me to go eat to Subway. And I'm like, Subway? And I'm looking around, and there's all these American fast food chain restaurants. And I was like, whoa, I feel like I'm in the US right now. It was interesting. So I noticed that the processed food was introduced, but the culture was also changing because they were having the later dinners. The dinners later in the day with, you know, and there were big dinners like we do here in the United States. And from 1992, fast forward to 2010, back then, see, in 1992, when I first arrived there, obesity existed and diabetes existed, of course, but it wasn't a big topic. In 2010, especially because I was doing a lot of presentations and talking to a lot of people about nutrition, diabetes and obesity was a huge topic. They were talking about Mexico being the number one in obesity and diabetes. it was competing with the US and I believe it was India during that time. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I believe it was India and the US and Mexico. They were like they were in the top ranked of diabetes and obesity. But back in 1992, it wasn't a topic when I was in Mexico. But what I noticed is the change was, number one, the processed foods, all these American chain fast food restaurants, and that in the bigger cities, they had changed to dinners was the bigger meals. So I'm like, that's interesting. How? So at the end of week 1, I did step on scale. We'll talk about the results on episode 3.